After more than 100 Democrats in the House voted to eliminate U.S. aid to Israel, the pro-Israel lobbying group AIPAC is now stripping fundraising support from 15 incumbents seeking re-election as the Democratic divide over Israel widens. For more, let's bring in California Democratic Congressman Khanna. Congressman, thank you very much for joining us in the Sunday briefing. It's always good to talk to you, sir.
Thank you for having me back on.
Of course. So you were one of these 103 Democrats who voted to end military aid to Israel. And you have said that this is not about weakening Israel's security. How is that a meaningful distinction to make, that you're about, ending U.S. military aid but not weakening their security when they're under active attack by Iran and its proxies?
Well, Jackie, what I care about most is American security. I want to end this foreign war with Iran. President Trump himself has said Netanyahu has not been helpful. He's defying President Trump's own wishes, striking Lebanon and prolonging this war in Iran. He's the one who chair-led for us to get into this foreign war. And they've lost support. They've lost support not just with the majority of Democrats. The majority of Republicans under 50 don't want a Israel-first foreign policy. They want us to focus on our country. And they don't want us giving $3 billion to Israel where we can be investing in jobs and health care here at home.
This vote, though, it represents a significant change in your party. There was a similar vote just 2 years ago. Only 37 Democrats voted for it. Now that number is 103. And the messaging around it has also changed. Whip Catherine Clark said we should not provide a blank check for military aid to any country that does not comply with U.S. laws, interest, values. The problem with this blank check phraseology, though, is that it's not a blank check. This is, a funding that's governed under a 10-year security memorandum. It was negotiated by President Obama. So if a bipartisan agreement that was negotiated by President Obama can be, discarded before it expires, what message does that send to the rest of the world about the reliability of U.S. security agreements that are long-term?
Sends a message that you can't do what you did in Gaza, and you can't defy the American president. By the way, they've defied both Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and expect the American people to just take it. We're the world's superpower, and Netanyahu acts as if he can dictate the terms to us. That's why he's losing support with, as I mentioned, not just Democrats, but all the young generation of Republicans. That's why you see J.D. Vance frustrated at Netanyahu. And the biggest thing is, Jackie, that they have a $45 billion defense budget. Why are we subsidizing one of the richest countries in the world? That money should be going for jobs here, housing here, childcare here, healthcare here.
A lot of the people who take issue with this vote, though, point out that, the frustration that you're voicing and your colleagues are voicing is with Netanyahu. Israel, the state, is, a U.S. ally, and this is a weighty, change to make. But I want to get down to sort of where this push is coming from and why that change happened, why we had, such an increase in Democrats that voted for this. This week, you were on an interview and you were pressed to basically defend aspects of the October 7th attack when you were talking to this left-wing outlet Drop site. And the interviewer got really mad when you said that Israel should be able to defend itself with the Iron Dome. Listen to this.
Everything else you're saying makes so much sense. Why do you stop there? It feels to me like you're trying to have it both ways on this issue. You're defending the sniper's ability to keep killing because it won't face the ultimate accountability, which is a total embargo on all support for an apartheid state. Do Palestinians have a right to kill Israeli soldiers, Congressman? On October 7th, when they attacked the military bases in the Gaza envelope, did the Qassam brigades and Suraya al-Quds have a right to kill Israeli soldiers? Yes or no?
Do exchanges like that make you question the voices that you're aligning yourself with?
Well, as you know, the journalist was not happy with me because I said Hamas is a terrorist organization. October 7th were terrorist attacks. There was no justification for Hamas to kill the Israeli soldiers or Israeli civilians. And I said that Israel does need to be able to get Iron Dome because there's 700,000 Americans there. And obviously we can't just have Iran launch missiles that kill American citizens or Jewish or Arab Israelis. But the problem is that we've gotten into a foreign war with Iran. President Trump promised not to get us into these wars. I wish he had lived up to those campaign promises. He hasn't. Gas prices are up. Food prices are up. 2 Americans yesterday are dead. The Congress has passed a war powers resolution. We need to end this war, and we need to stop letting Israel dictate terms that get us further entangled in conflicts in the Middle East.
I think that the administration, excuse me, would push back on the idea that Israel is, dictating the terms of this. In fact, the MOU that they just signed, the administration signed and then fell apart, they weren't even a party to the negotiation there. But the broader point is, there's a lot of rhetoric in this country right now that is making American Jews feel really unsafe when the litmus test in Democratic primaries is, do you take the AIPAC money? And do you accept that, the state of Israel has a right to defend itself? These are tough questions to be, happening in 2026. Do you question, when you have these kinds of interactions, if those are people that you want as your allies, when they were pressing you to say that, Israel should be able to be attacked by what you called a terrorist organization? They were pushing you to sanction that.
Jackie, I have always believed in Israel's right to exist as a secure state. And I have a lot of the Jewish American community and Israeli expats in my district, many of whom support me. But what you see in anger towards is what happened in Gaza, seeing all those young kids killed, a disproportionate response. People saw it on their own phones. What you see is an anger at the conditions in the occupied West Bank, where I was just there, where it literally is in the West Bank, apartheid-like conditions. What you see is an anger that Israel keeps bombing Lebanon when President Trump says stop bombing, making it harder to get us out of the war. What you see is an anger that Netanyahu was advocating for us to get into a war. And the American people say, enough with these wars. Let's focus on jobs here at home. Let's focus on housing and child care here at home. That's what America First was supposed to be. And that's where a lot of the anger comes at the Israeli government. They aren't showing enough respect and deference to America as the world superpower.
I want to point out that the administration says the reason that this all happened, this war, is to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, which they say they were very, very close to having. We're almost out of time, but I want to get very quickly, Mamdani in New York, the mayor there, threatening to arrest Netanyahu when he comes to the UN General Assembly. Do you want to see that happen?
He could come to the UN Assembly. The ICC and ICJ have a legal process. That case will go forward. My bigger concern is, how do we get out of this war? How do we stop giving them the aid that we have been giving them? How do we stop giving them military weapons to kill civilians? Yes, make sure civilians are protected. And how do we actually get peace and justice there and get America out of these wars? But, I'm not for creating a spectacle. The UN is a place that people can come to.
Okay. Congressman Khanna, always great to discuss these issues with you. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thanks. Well, as Democratic Socialists are gaining traction, one Democratic governor is denouncing his party's left-wing poll. He joins me next.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.